Tales from Radiator Springs, To Protect and Serve. To Protect and Serve is the unreleased 5th episode of the Tales from Radiator Springs series. The short was first announced at D23 Expo 2013 alongside the aired Radiator Springs 500 1.5 short. In March 2014, it was announced that a short was due to release in 2015. In October of the same year, it was discovered that the short was called To Protect and Serve. But 2015 came and went, and although die casts for both the new characters and the pre-existing characters were made, along with a children's book version of the short has never aired, and Pixar has yet to explain why the short hasn't been released yet. The plot would have been as follows. When Sheriff takes a mandatory vacation, 2 overzealous rookies from county take over his duties in Radiator Springs. Bent on making a good impression, the rookies overdo every aspect of their jobs, finding quote-unquote crimes at every turn and turning the quiet little town into a hotbed of taped-off crime scenes. No one is safe and everyone is a suspect until Sheriff senses an imbalance and returns home to right the quote-unquote justice that's been served. No video of the short has ever been shown to the public. However, the children's book does contain images from the short. It has been speculated that the story in the children's book, as simple as it is, could be the same one as in the short. It is unknown why the short was never released, but this short was the last short of the Tales from Radiator Springs series. No other shorts have been announced after To Protect and Serve, and it's likely the series has ended or been cancelled.
Say, you weren't thinking of flying, were you?
Well,
You know Andy loves toys that can fly.
really? Well then, to infinity and beyond!
You know, Andy loves toys that he can find.
Toy Story test footage. In 1992, Pixar and a company named TIK TOK made test scenes of the movie. These designs are drastically different from the ones seen in the final product. Notably, Buzz is smaller and in a red spacesuit, and Woody is a ventriloquist doll. What little test footage is available is similar in tone to the infamous Black Friday reel. There is also test footage of Buzz being voiced by Billy Crystal, Pixar's first choice for the role. Despite fans rumoring the existence of additional animation tests, based on the assumption that this wasn't all that could have been made, there has been no actual, solid evidence of this being the case. Toy Story 2 partially found Bullseye dialogue. When Toy Story 2 was in development, it was originally planned for Bullseye to actually speak and have dialogue, rather than being nonverbal. Bullseye was planned to be voiced by Martin Short, who is known for his comedic voice acting, and this had been an idea that lasted for a long time. It was rumored that John Lasseter had scrapped the idea so that Bullseye could be more appealing to the audience, hence making Bullseye a nonverbal character. However, in late 2023, former co-director Colin Brady revealed in a YouTube video description that the real reason of Bullseye losing his dialogue was due to a choice Disney would have made regarding the characters. Sometime after the summer of 1997, Disney had said that either Bullseye or Jessie would have to be cut from the film, so making Bullseye a mute character allowed both characters to stay. Colin stated that Martin Short never recorded any of the lines for Bullseye, and that Frank Welker did some sound effect voices after the original plan was scrapped. Overall, it is considered partially found. Peter Pan David Hall version. Prior to Peter Pan being released in 1953, it went through several years of production leading up to the film. The production had character design and concept artwork prepared in late 1939 and early 1940. David Hall was one of the artists who worked on the early development of this film, until it was shelved due to wartime concerns. Several pieces of concept art can be seen in the video You Can Fly, The Making of Peter Pan, a video released by Disney showing the behind the scenes of Peter Pan featuring this concept art. These pieces of concept art gave a doll-like vibe to it and looked aesthetically pleasing to the viewer, but also was a bit darker in nature. By 1941, a basic story structure was complete, which would have had the dog Nana travel with the kids and Peter to Neverland. However, due to the bombing of Pearl Harbor and the onset of World War II, production was halted due to the US government asking Disney to produce training and war propaganda films. Production only continued in 1949 after sitting in development for almost a decade. The concept art was then done by Mary Blair, which was then used for the final version that you now see. Some of these concept art pieces have made their way to be auctioned off on the site Heritage Auctions. A painting of Wendy by David Hall was auctioned off and sold on December 10, 2016. There have been other pieces of concept art auctioned off, such as a painting of Peter and Wendy on the Jolly Roger ship, which was sold on June 20, 2020. I assume that the lost media comes from the idea that we haven't gotten the full storyline and concept art from David Hall's version.
In Pixie Hollow, there are certain things you can count on. Every year brings another 4 seasons. Every day, a fairy gets a fresh cup of pixie dust. And each new arrival marks the beginning of an important new story. On the day this story starts, however, just as one fairy was on the verge of arrival, another was on the brink of departure. Today's the day!
Tinker Academy. Tinker Academy was set to be the 7th movie in the Disney Fairy series. The movie would have been very similar to a book titled Tinker Bell and the Lost City, a graphic novel released in November 2024. The premise would have followed around a secret school for Tinker Fairies on the mainland. It would have started off with Fairy Mary being accepted into the school and was leaving to go, but as she was leaving, a new fairy arrived, which was Tinker Bell. So Fairy Mary decides to give up her dream and chooses to stay behind to help Tinker Bell.
It's the right thing to do. I mean, she actually has the word tinker in her name, for goodness sake.
But Tinker Academy is your dream, and you've waited so long.
Yes, but a talent such as this, it's a rare thing. It must be nurtured, guided by only the most experienced hands.
But surely there must be someone else.
You and I both know there isn't. So it's settled. I'm staying. I'll train the new arrival, then reapply to Tinker Academy next year.
Tinker Bell would later go on to attend Tinker Academy, and the storyline would have followed her journey at the school and meeting new characters. According to a report from The Hollywood Reporter, they stated that the 7th movie was cancelled due to problems behind the scenes and the Disney Fairy brand not being popular like it once was. Disney Toons had also shut down in 2018 due to a history of alleged sexual harassment by one of the Pixar founders towards employees. As of now, there has been releases of concept art and storyboard animation. It seems to be that the movie had started on some animation, concept art, and voiceover. However, it is not determined how much might still be lost. Maleficent lost production material. In 2003, a Disney 3D animated feature was to be based off the 1959 Sleeping Beauty, which would have been titled Maleficent. During Don Hand's meeting with Disney's animation department, it was suggested to create an origin film about Maleficent from Disney's animated film Sleeping Beauty. It heavily took inspiration from the Broadway play Wicked, and wanted to give Maleficent an origin story similar to that of Elphaba. The project was kept private and was expected to be announced with the voice cast, with many speculating Catherine O'Hara and Keira Knightley would be among the potential voice cast. Despite having completed computer-generated models and test animations, the project was kept confidential. Ultimately, the project was cancelled and was revived into the 2014 live-action Maleficent film with Angelina Jolie. Even though it became a live-action film, the generated models and test animations are considered lost. Who Framed Roger Rabbit lost phone number audio. In 1989, an NES game based off the 1988 movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit was released as a tie-in to the film. In one part of the game, Jessica Rabbit will give the player a phone number, 1-800-232-3324. At the time, calling this number in real life would have given the player a recorded message containing hints for the game. The number was eventually disconnected by 1990. Allegedly, by at least 2010, the number was used by a sex hotline. It is unknown if the person who said the hints was Jessica's voice actress or not, and unless one of the developers or the person who said the lines has a copy of this call, it may be lost forever. Fantasia 2006. Fantasia 2006 was a planned third movie in the Fantasia series of films. The film started development in 2002 and had a release date of 2006. However, it was cancelled in 2004 after a series of underperforming films. This led to Disney shutting down their hand-drawn animation studios in Florida in the same year. Fantasia 2006 started production in 2002. It was to be the first movie in the Fantasia series to feature music from all around the world, not just classical European pieces. It was also to be the first movie in the series to include singing, which is going to be shown in several of the shorts. There was an unspecified number of shorts made, but it can be reasoned that it was probably 6. A planned segment rumored to be included would have been set inside of Australia. It was also heavily rumored that there was going to be a British sequence set in tone to music by the Beatles. Only 23 minutes of animation was produced, which were the 4 shorts that have been released to the public. There are 4 completed shorts: Destino, Lorenzo, One by One, and The Little Match Girl. These shorts were all released on their own between 2003 and 2006. It was rumored that 6 shorts were made in total. If that's the case, 2 unnamed shorts are currently missing, but there could still be more than that. The Princess Academy. The Princess Academy was a cancelled Disney 2D animated short film. It would have contained female heroines from both well-known and obscure Disney and Pixar projects, interacting together in the same setting. Due to Disney Animation's hand-drawn studio closing its doors, the directors saw no point in continuing the project, and ultimately decided to shelf the film. Very little is known about the plot of the film. Most of what is available is concept art and completed storyboards. One piece of concept art features an unnamed little girl dressed as a princess, who could be the main protagonist of the short. Some sources have stated the Academy itself would act as some sort of boarding school for new princesses. What is known is that the short would have contained numerous references to Disney and Pixar films, both from the past and present. From the concept art shown, the film would have featured an abundance of cameos from different Disney heroines, who are having a wonderful time dancing and spending time together. Production started for the film around 2009, after the release of The Princess and the Frog. Early on into production, 8-time Academy Award-winning composer Alan Menken agreed to work on the project, as long as it would be greenlit by Disney in the future. In 2013, Disney completely gutted their hand-drawn animation department, firing almost all their veteran 2D animators. This was a shock to Kawina and Shapa, the director and concept artist of the film, who had been working on The Princess Academy for years now. As stated by Kawina, after months of working on it, with hundreds and hundreds of storyboards and concept art, the Disney Animation hand-drawn studios closed its doors, so there was no point for us to even show that project. Out of the hundreds of concept art and storyboards for the film, only a few have been posted online. Due to the film being cancelled very early on, it's doubtful that any animation was completed for the project. Very little is still known about the plot of the animated short film, as Kawina and Shapa have been very secretive about it. Also, since composer Alan Menken only agreed to work on the project if it was greenlit by Disney, it is unlikely that any original songs were completed. In addition, no script for the animated short film has ever been leaked online. The closest thing that resembles the interactions this short would have had is the scene in Wreck-It Ralph 2 with Penelope and the princesses. Mickey Columbus lost production material. Mickey Columbus is a canceled half-hour long short film that would have been released in 1992. With the coming of Mickey's 60th birthday in 1988, the Walt Disney Company felt they should promote the name of the famous mouse and eventually formulate a plan to release a new Mickey Mouse short every 2 years, the first of these being the 1990's The Princess and the Pauper. Due to the fact that 1992 was to be the 500th anniversary of the voyage of Christopher Columbus, they felt that the next short should commemorate just that. It would have placed Mickey Mouse in the role of Christopher Columbus and include the rest of the gang portraying the story of how Columbus, quote-unquote, discovered the Americas. The project was shelved for 2 reasons. Firstly, the animation team knew that the trio would have to encounter some native people in the New World, the way Christopher Columbus did, but did not want to offend anyone with distasteful stereotypes similar to the ones in Peter Pan. Secondly, wanting to move forward with the development of new full-length feature films such as Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, the company lost interest in doing any more short films. There are several concept arts that can be found online. However, there is voice acting that was recorded prior to the cancellation of the movie that has not been seen. It is unknown if animation started on the short film, but as of now, the missing production material seems to be the recorded lines. Partially lost Disney Circle 7 animation. In January 2004, Pixar announced they would not be renewing their contract with Disney due to rising tensions between the two companies. While Pixar left to find different distributors, Disney, who owned the rights to the previous Pixar films and characters, created Circle 7 Animation. Circle 7 Animation was formed to make direct-to-video sequels of Pixar movies. They had a total of 3 films in production. However, they didn't get very far in production with their projects, as Michael Eisner, the then CEO of Disney, was kicked out, and Pixar was bought by Disney for approximately $7.4 billion. Thus, Circle 7 Animation was shut down on May 26, 2006. There were 3 canceled projects that were created under Circle 7 Animation: Toy Story 3, Monsters Inc. Lost in Paradise, and Finding Nemo 2. The original Toy Story 3 would have focused on a malfunctioning Buzz Lightyear, who was shipped back to the original Buzz Lightyear factory in Taipei, Taiwan. But as it turns out, the Buzz Lightyear brand has been recalled, so Woody and the gang shipped themselves to Taiwan to rescue Buzz. Monsters Inc. Lost in Paradise would have followed Mike and Sully wanting to celebrate Boo's birthday. However, Boo has moved, which results in Mike and Sully getting trapped in the human world. So Mike and Sully go on a mission in the human world to search for Boo and find a way back home in time for Mike and Celia's wedding. And lastly, the original Finding Nemo 2 would have focused on Nemo reuniting with his long-lost twin brother Remy. Marlin then gets captured and sent to the aquarium Planet Blue, so Nemo, Dory, and Remy have to go and rescue him. Very little video footage of these projects was ever released, most likely because Circle 7 Animation was shut down before they could produce any more video material. The only images to have surfaced are multiple pieces of concept art. It is unknown if Disney still has these scripts, as Pixar has stated that they will never look at the scripts. There has been material that has been found, such as some Monsters Inc. Lost in Paradise concept art pieces, some Toy Story 3 concept art pieces, and the unreleased script, which you can see on the YouTuber Hema Studios, who made a whole video on it, which I'll link down below. What currently remains lost is the script for Lost in Paradise and the concept art for Finding Nemo 2.